What a week for Australian patients. We've been offline for 2 weeks and we thought we had to come back because, most patients in Australia at the moment would just be elated at the thoughts that if they consume THC, that they can drive in 4 years. Yeah, you can obviously see that this is a parody. But the reality is that a lot of the industry and a lot of people, and what we're seeing is positioning around the prospect of 4 years away. I understand how long clinical trials take. And we see that the legislation was changed last year. So we had the whole news cycle that went last year, and everyone got up and down and said, finally, we're getting a result. On Tracker included, went out and said, hey, this is good. We're making progress. These things do take time. We're getting there. This is going to be the road ahead. And then this week, we see the university come out, get all their lovely positioning and branding and all those feel-good moments and shares and claps and likes that occurs on social media, particularly LinkedIn, a little bit more critical on other platforms. But the prospect, if you're a patient, say you've got chronic pain or other medical conditions, maybe you're a parent as well. We do need to give props to Alice, who bravely went on TV this week.
I'm a full-time single parent to 2 young kids, and we don't live within walking distance for everywhere. I do drive. There is no other option for me.
And basically just stood her ground and said, you know what? I do drive and I am going to continue to drive. Now, that's a very brave and courageous move that I don't think all of us would take to be able to get that heat on us. So we do need to give her a clap. And it's advocates like that we think can provide a groundswell, a necessary momentum forward to address key issues and make them faster. Because in some ways, is it even being taken seriously? Why is it the case that as soon as there's any news, everyone's like, yay, yay, 4 years, that's awesome. Why isn't there more of an outcry to say, actually, we heard the news last year. If the trial is going to start in 2026 and we know it's going to be a minimum of 18 months, let's just say that there's probably going to be a little bit of delay with that. Then you're going to have the findings. You're going to get that peer reviewed. Then you need policy to change. It's 2028, 2029 before we start to see any significant changes for patients in their capacity to then be able to drive. And this isn't just subject to the cannabis space, but we're in it together. And so we've got to call out the bullshit. You got to call it out. You got to call it out. And you need more people like Alice and other people that are the advocates that do take the heat on themselves to then be able to push this forward. And there's many that are out there. And it's not just in Australia that we see this. If you think back, I'm an Australian, don't get me offside. I'm just calling it as I see it. We have a look, a part of Biden's 2020 campaign was to decriminalize. And now what we're seeing is this rescheduling. And anytime there's any news about it, you see everyone, it just fills up because people need that attention and trying to capture that attention. But it's very easy for these news cycles just to get lost. They get to get lost. Yeah, we're going to decriminalize, and that's what we're going to go for. Okay, 4 years later, we're going to reschedule. Timely. If it was a high agenda, why have you taken 4 years to do this? I get it. There's some politics at play, but it's very simple. Like, we need to have these conversations so that you're aware, that you're awake. Things are going on around us constantly, and we're just at times in this news cycle to go, oh, that's great. That's great. The interesting thing is you can have a look back, right? So you can have a look back to some of the conversations, particularly around scheduling in the US. And you can see that people like 20 years ago were like, yes, it's going to come. It's going to come. It still hasn't come. And we still don't know what's going to happen. And there's so much talk about Schedule 3, but we don't know what it means. We don't know. We don't know. It's short and sweet this week. It's just see through the bullshit, call it out, and use your time, use your money as a patient and support those companies that are doing the right thing and have a message and are for patients rather than just positioning. Yeah, that's it. Easy message for the week. Call it out and also applaud the advocates that are out there doing the work. They're taking the heat. That's reputation. That's family pressure. And what they're doing is saying, no, that isn't right. And these are my views. And for that, we need to pay some respect. This was Higher Living with Chad, short and sweet. Thank you very much.